Long ago, when the moon was believed to carry messages between the living and the ancestors, there lived a young couple in a riverside village at the edge of the wide golden savanna. The husband was named Kofi. He was tall and broad-shouldered, with deep brown skin that shone under the sun and strong hands shaped by years of farming. His eyes were kind, but there was always a restless fire behind them, the fire of a man who wanted more than survival. His wife was Abeni. She was slender and graceful, with warm, dark eyes that seemed to understand things before they were spoken. Her voice was calm, like water flowing over smooth stones. People often said that when Abeni spoke, even the wind listened. They were not rich, but they were content. Each morning, they woke before sunrise. Kofi walked to the fields with his hoe resting across his shoulder. Abeni fetched water from the river, balancing a clay pot effortlessly on her head. In the evenings, they sat outside their round mud house, watching the sky turn from gold to deep purple while cooking yams over a small fire. And every night, before sleeping, Abeni would whisper, "Gratitude makes small things enough." For many seasons, the rains were generous. The crops grew tall, the goats grew fat, the river flowed wide and silver under the moon. Then, one year, the sky closed. The rains did not come. At first, no one panicked. "It is only late," the elders said, but days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. The soil began to crack. The river pulled back like a frightened child. Leaves curled and turned brittle. The air carried dust instead of life. Hunger came slowly, like a quiet thief. One evening, as Kofi stared at his dying field, anger burned inside him. "I will not sit here and wait for the sky to pity us," he said. "I have heard that beyond the northern hills, the rains still fall. The land is green there. I will go." Abeni studied him carefully. "And leave your home?" she asked softly. "What home will remain if we starve?" he replied. That night, she did not argue. Instead, she went inside and returned with a small carved calabash, smooth and dark, sealed tightly with wax. "My grandmother gave this to me on our wedding day," she said. "She told me it carries a promise." Kofi frowned. "A promise will not fill my stomach." "Listen carefully," Abeni said. "Do not open it until you truly understand hunger." He nodded, though impatience already filled his heart. At sunrise, he left. The journey north was harder than he expected. The sun was merciless. The earth was hard as stone. He passed abandoned huts, empty wells, and fields that looked like scars on the land. On the 5th day, he saw 2 men fighting over a muddy puddle. On the 7th day, he buried a traveler who had not survived the heat. For the first time, Kofi felt fear not of hunger, but of loneliness. After many days, he reached a valley where the grass was green and tall. The air felt cooler. Cattle grazed peacefully. A wealthy chief ruled there. His storehouses were full. His people were fed. Kofi offered his strength in exchange for work. The chief examined him carefully. "You are strong. Strength is welcome here." Kofi worked tirelessly. He plowed fields. He repaired fences. He carried sacks of grain heavier than stones. He ate well. He slept under a sturdy roof. Slowly, comfort softened his urgency. He began to notice the chief's wealth bracelets of gold, woven cloth dyed in deep indigo, granaries stacked high with millet. A thought crept into his mind. "If I stay here, I could build a new life, a better life." Weeks became months. He told himself Abeni would understand. But at night, when the village was quiet, he would hear her voice in his memory. Gratitude makes small things enough. One evening, as he counted his wages, he felt a different kind of hunger, a hollow space in his chest. He missed her steady presence. He missed the sound of the river. He missed being known. That night, unable to sleep, he reached into his bag and removed the carved calabash. He turned it slowly in his hands. "I have known hunger," he whispered. "I have walked through drought. I have worked like an ox." He broke the wax seal. Inside, there was no grain, no gold, no treasure, only a folded piece of cloth. His hands trembled as he opened it. Inside were 3 small seeds and a wooden carving with simple words, "Plant before you abandon." Kofi stared at the message for a long time, and suddenly something shifted inside him. Hunger was not only the emptiness of the stomach, it was the fear that nothing would grow again. It was the belief that running is easier than rebuilding. It was impatience disguised as wisdom. He had left before planting hope. The next morning, he went to the chief. "I thank you for your generosity," Kofi said respectfully. "But my home calls me." The chief looked at him thoughtfully. "Many men leave dry land," he said. "Few return." Kofi bowed and began the journey back. When he reached his village, it was thinner, quieter, but alive. The huts still stood. The elders still gathered beneath the great tree. Abeni was by the river, now only a narrow stream. She saw him. She did not run. She did not scold. She simply looked at him with calm understanding. "You opened it," she said. "Yes," Kofi replied, "and now I understand." Together, they planted the 3 seeds beside their home. The ground was hard. Their hands blistered. Days passed. Nothing happened. Villagers whispered, "Why waste strength on dry earth?" But Abeni said only, "Roots grow before leaves." Weeks later, after a cool night, something green pushed through the soil. Then another, then another. The plants grew stronger than any crop the village had seen. Their leaves were thick. Their roots dug deep into hidden water below the surface. When the next rainy season finally came, the plants did not merely survive, they thrived. Kofi and Abeni shared their harvest with the village. When others asked for seeds, Abeni smiled. "The seeds were small," she said, "but patience was the water." Years later, children would gather around them and ask about the great drought. Kofi would say, "I thought strength meant leaving, but true strength is staying long enough to see growth." And Abeni would add, "When hunger comes, plant. When fear comes, plant. When doubt comes, plant." And so the village remembered. Not every drought is ended by rain. Some are ended by faith, patience, and 2 people who choose each other again. And from that time on, whenever someone prepared to leave in anger or fear, the elders would gently remind them, "Plant before you abandon.